Some states have been put on intense flood alert in the next 7 days following opening of the Lagdo Dam by Cameroon authorities. The federal government has now set up an interagency collaboration to ensure effects of the dam opening is minimal on Nigeria. Moyo Thomas has more.
The federal government on Monday confirmed that Lagdo Dam has been opened by the Cameroonian authorities and that all the frontline states may experience flooding within the next 7 days. It is a matter of grave concern that had prompted the first collaborative meeting between the Ministers of Water Resources, Environment and Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. The aim is to find a solution to the perennial flood problems in Nigeria. The ministers acknowledge it is a collective responsibility and the bulk of the work is at the state and local government levels. They want individuals also to take preventive measures such as clearing drainage and keeping their environment clean.
We are going to be working with the state governments and even the local governments to provide this temporary shelter for them. This is part of the humanitarian intervention in those areas. Of course, we had mentioned other interventions, including food and the rest of them. State governments have actually been responsive. However, it has not been very adequate to cater for all the persons affected. And so we are encouraging the Nigerian Governors Forum to step up on its actions.
Removing unwanted structures that are blocking waterways and also keeping the environment clean to reduce the menace of flooding, as the government at its own end is putting 1 or 2 measures in place for total eradication of this flooding.
We are issuing hourly warning alerts on floods, not only with respect to the River Benue, but in most parts of the country, including River Niger, and even in the south of Nigeria, we're issuing hourly alerts.
The ministers are quick to assure that the water level is not a threat yet and that measures are just being put in place should rain volumes increase. The meeting has now gone into a closed-door session where they will come up with recommendations to be forwarded to President Bola Tinubu on efforts to mitigate and prevent further flood disasters in Nigeria. Moyo Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
However, Niger State is already recording flood disaster. I'm joined now by the Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency, Garba Saliu, for more on this development. You mentioned that not less than 11 local government areas of your state have already been battling flood disaster. Is this a function of the floodgate open in Cameroon? Mr. Saliu, okay. I'm asking if the current flood situation is a function of the dam that was opened in Cameroon.
Yeah, thank you very much for linking up to us here in Niger. The current flood situation in Niger State, we have so far received reports from 15 local governments who have had incidences of flood so far. The current situation we have in United States is not actually, or do I say is not directly as a result of the opening of the Lagdo Dam. Before the opening of the dam, you will recall that at the beginning of this rainy season, predictions were handed down to us about excessive rainfall this year. So we've been experiencing flood. So far, we even have communities that have already been dislodged. In about 17 communities are already out of their original places of abode as a result of flood activities due to excessive rainfall.
Mr. Saliu,
of the Lagdo Dam, and obviously,
it means that things are possibly going to get worse if aftermath of the Cameroon Dam being opened. But there were warnings before now. What measures were put in place by the Niger State government ahead of this flood?
Yes, before now, we have been sensitizing communities identified on those risk zones, and that is to why today in United States, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of United States, is personally, monitoring the response effort of the state. As I told you earlier, 17 communities have been, dislodged already. They have moved to higher ground. Those places that we had earlier told them to move to when the flood comes, the 15 local government that has been affected so far, we don't have any dead yet. We don't have any casualty yet, which is a clear indication that our sensitization effort is actually yielding a very positive result. So the information about the opening of the Lagdo Dam is not actually coming to us as a surprise. We are already prepared. We have already sensitized communities that are located in the floodplains of these two major rivers that we have in the state. The opening of the Lagdo Dam may not have direct effect on activities in Niger State, because very few of our communities are located on the floodplains of River Benue. But His Excellency, the Governor of Niger State, is not leaving anything to chance. He has directed the agency to ensure that communities that are living on lowland areas move to higher ground, and we are already liaising with our local government structures, and such movement is already on top gear.
When you talk about relocating people from 17 local government areas, what kind of arrangement do you have for them?
Yes, we have a homegrown system here in Niger. So we call it the two. These are safe grounds that are identified for communities that are living on the floodplain. Is an alternative places of abode for them during period like this. We have 12 of such locations in Niger State. We call it the two abode solution. The two abode solution is a system where the riparian communities are provided with an option, an alternative home during the flood period. They are also allowed to move back to the flood plain when the flood recedes to, still continue the agricultural activities. So we have that here in Niger State. The communities that are on this flood plain are adequately informed. They are aware of locations of these flood plains. Of course, we have one or two challenges of structure in these places, and that is why we are always calling out for collaboration to ensure that we make these places more habitable for the system to actually work well for the riparian communities.
He was Acting Director General of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency. Thank you for talking to us on the news.